What the hell is up, everyone in Thrall land? Back again for another excellent album review. I am Shredlord.
Necrotic Nick.
And we are the Thralls of Metal, of course. Here to bring you the debut album on 20 Buck Spin from the band Majesties. That album is called Vast Reaches Unclaimed.
This again comes out on the 3rd of March, again on 20 Buck Spin, which that label seems to rarely miss here lately. This band formed, I think, maybe in 2022. It really wasn't specific as to when this band formed, but they did form in Minneapolis, Minnesota, despite when you're hearing this, yeah, you won't think Minneapolis at all. Now, this band features members of Obsequiae and Exorum, which are pretty well known in terms of like melodic black metal out of Minneapolis, but this is not that. This is flat out old school melodic death metal. I dare this album to sound more like early In Flames. I don't think it possibly could. Like, this, it was almost kind of haunting in a way, like listening to this, because it legit sounds like it came out of Gothenburg, Sweden in the early to mid-90s.
This was a pleasant listen. If you closed your eyes, it would take you back to another time far, far ago. To a place where a certain band who shall go unnamed did not suck as they do now.
I think we named them already.
But we digress.
Yeah, right away from the opening track, In Yearning Alive. As soon as you get this nice little, like, kind of ambient fade in, it goes headlong into, well, everything that you would associate with early In Flames. Great riffs, great lead melodies on top of the riffs. Vocals are kind of somewhere between, like, say, like Thomas Lindberg and Anders Frieden, like those early years. They're shrieked, they're agonized, but the music is very triumphant, and it kind of just goes headlong into battle carrying a Swedish flag, even though they bought it in Minnesota.
Minnesota, bud.
Oh, yeah, no there, guys.
But regardless of where they're from, they do this justice. One of the conversations that Nick and I were having while listening to this is Nick brought up an excellent point. It's almost like while listening to this band is almost to early In Flames as a band like Gruesome is to Death. Maybe not in such a direct way,
yeah,
but the way that this band recalls just that incredible early In Flames, mellow death, Gothenburg sound is awesome. Awesome, from the tones of the guitar to the triumphant melodies, the quick, beautiful leads that they do on the guitars, these little solos, just epicness. Epicness, pretty much throughout the whole damn album.
Absolutely, and it feels very specifically In Flames. Like, yeah, there's hints of, like, At the Gates on here. There's even hints of Dark Tranquility. But the entire time I was listening to this, I was thinking, man, this sounds like Jester Race, Lunar Strain, Horacle, like, you know, some tried and true classics by In Flames. And I like the fact that it really hones in on that. There's a lot of just great melody all throughout this, but there's a lot of intensity too. Like songs like City of the Nine Gates.
Wow.
Dude, one of the best songs on here. Of course, you have these soaring melodies. You know, it's epic, it's triumphant, but it's also very urgent. It's fast and aggressive. There's some great isolated, chunky riffs in there that are just powerful as hell, and they don't use a, you know, like lead melody on top of them to really accent them. They just let them be heavy right there. Like, this is almost like the melodic death metal equivalent to Bolt Thrower in a lot of ways. Like, it's just fucking charging into battle and just fucking shit up.
And it's non-stop, with the exception of maybe the end. For the most part, there's not a lot of riffs that come through where the guitars don't come with a melody over top with the melody of the vocals. And that adds an interesting dynamic throughout pretty much the whole album until you get to the last couple tracks, City of the Nine Gates, and then the track The Journey's End, where they start to finally let some of these riffs breathe a little bit differently than they have the rest of the album. But for the most part, once again, it's pretty much fly the flags and let's run into the middle of the field until none of us are standing.
I really like that you can hear like just a touch of maybe their black metal influence, like especially
it's more than a touch, but it's good.
Oh, the tremolo harmonies. The tremolo harmonies on here are fantastic.
Impeccable.
And used intermittently. Like, that's not the main melodic thing. Like, the main melodic thing is, you know, find like a good melodic riff and then play like a lead melody on top of this. Like, of course there's solos, but again, they're very short and mostly just kind of a nice little melodic touch on top of that. But yeah, lead melodies, constant. They are always going. But the tremolo harmonies, I think, kind of just add like a different dynamic. And again, you don't hear them as much. It's more or less like a cool thing they'll save for a bridge. Our Gracious Captors, I think, was a big standout for me. I love the again, that mid-tempo vibe, but there's some cool tremolo harmonies that pop in there that just really stuck out. And again, like, everything on here is just very triumphant. You have moments where it kind of gets outside of that, namely Sidril Spire, which feels a little bit darker. Like, it's a little bit more sinister. It's kind of a good break from, well, winning every fucking fight that you're in. That's pretty much, all of these songs. Like, yeah, world's most one-sided fights. It's like Rocky versus quadriplegic. But, you win on every track. Like, yes, soaring, victory, charging in, we won instantly. They gave up right at the gates.
And on this track, we finally hear another amazing trope from that early era. Some beautiful, clean guitars. The end of this song has some gloriously beautiful, melancholy, somber guitars to take it out. And that's nice to hear. What is it? 1, 2... Okay, so it's only the third song in. So I guess it wasn't as long. It felt longer because I was waiting for it personally. Yeah. But when it came in, it gave me the goods that I needed. And once again, it's just another little layer to throw in there that equals a great album.
I would say, like, this is paced pretty deliberately. Like, the first 2 tracks establish the sound, which has been established a long time ago, technically, but it kind of gets you ready for what you were going to get in the bulk of this album. The acoustic and clean melody interludes, again, like something that pops up intermittently, but they're done very effectively. Occasionally you get some cool sweeping synths like Across the Neverwind and Temporal Anchor. Really add a lot. And again, something that is used minimally just for effect, and it really makes the song stand out. My issues with this are very minimal because I love the lead playing. It's such an awesome retro sound because this is a retro sound that I don't think is done very often. Like, in terms of like retroactive death metal, that old school death metal sound, we hear tons of stuff that sounds like it came out in Florida in the 90s, or tons of stuff that came out in Stockholm in the 90s. Not so much Gothenburg. Gothenburg's kind of like, well, a lot of those bands are still going, and there's mixed results for some of them. Some of them are doing really well, but in terms of like retroactive stuff, you don't hear much of that. And this was just, I don't know, kind of a nice little glimpse into like that little past there. And even right down to the production. The production sounds fucking perfect. Like, it legit sounds like an old school Swedish melodic death metal band. Like, if someone played this and told me, it's like, oh yeah, this came out in 1992 in Gothenburg. It's like, I have no reason to fucking doubt you whatsoever. But this band likes to lay on the harmonies maybe a little bit too much. It is maybe a little too on the nose at times.
And really, what a minuscule problem to have, I guess. Even with the melodies being very much an extremely big part of this album, I still think that it's not necessarily the worst thing in the world. I do honestly believe that they could have achieved more on this album had they let moments such as the last couple tracks just let some of these riffs breathe a little bit, because when they breathed, they were heavy, they were crunchy, and they were epic too, but just epic in a different way. And it was nice when they finally did let some chords just ring out without a melody on top to really give it some more balls. Not to say it didn't have balls, but a different set of balls. Cow balls compared to moose balls. I don't know. Balls are balls. Whatever balls you prefer, that's on you. Wow. But
that went someplace I didn't think it was going to go.
Well, somehow it always ends up to turds, balls, or wieners. So
buttholes.
I'm sorry, turds, balls, wieners, and buttholes. It is what it is. But I also had to take into consideration this is their first album, and I cannot wait to hear really what else is in store, because if these are the small critiques I'm having now, then I'm excited for their sophomore release.
Honestly, as much as this is built around a playbook, it's a solid playbook. I really like the fact that there are no clean vocals on here. In fact, the most, in terms of like clean vocals you get in here, are like a spoken word towards the end of Journey's End. With Journey's End, I instantly thought it's like, Journey's End, it's Gothenburg. It's Gothenburg. Like, they couldn't come in the room and say, hey, we're going on a journey and you'll never guess where we're going to Gothenburg.
How'd you know?
Yeah.
Who told you?
Man, fucking Killjoy. But yeah, in terms of like pacing and such, like maybe breaking up some of the, songs that really lay on the, harmonies a lot. Because like you said, like letting some riffs breathe, like get down on some like chuggier breakdowns. Like there's some moments on here where it gets, nice and chuggy, gets settled in a groove. The drum work's fantastic too. It's going like pretty much everywhere it possibly can and checking off every box. It's just, it kind of overdoes it at times. And, you know, it's overdoing a really good thing, and I really fucking like it. It just got to be a bit much. But overall, I dug this. I got a Melodeath album that is triumphant, it's epic, it's riffy, no cheese. Like, it's not a cheesy release at all. I'm looking at you, In Flames, you misleading sons of bitches with your singles. Still a little salty about that. But no, I feel like this is what I ordered from In Flames. I was maybe a little too hopeful there, but I got in this band. Like, this is the sound that I wanted to hear again so much, and this band did an excellent job. So I'm gonna go ahead and give this 3.5 stars. It's not quite perfect, and it does lay on certain tropes a little too much, but man, like, this is just kind of refreshing to hear. Again, this is not like a retroactive thing that happens very much, and it's done exceedingly well. Like, the guitar work in here is absolutely
top-notch.
Magnificent.
Top-notch.
Every melody fucking hits, maybe a little too often, but again, it's maybe too much of a good thing, and that's not necessarily the biggest problem. The vocals are excellent for it. I think the songwriting is caliber, production's fucking tight as hell, and it has a real natural, organic sound. Like, if you love early In Flames and you miss it as much as we do, get this. This is absolutely awesome. I mean, also for fans of, you know, like At the Gates, Dark Tranquility, it's right in that wheelhouse. Definitely check this out.
I agree. 3.5. This was a fantastic debut album. I will drink from the chalice of Majesties. Yes, I will. And like I said, with a debut this strong, with a sound that I've been longing to hear for some time, really has me excited to hear what's coming up in the future. This had great melody, great musicianship, the production was great, and all around, I had pretty much zero to minimal complaints. The only way I could have seen this getting any higher was if I could put my balls on it. But other than that, I can't, because, you know, Nick would be upset if I put my balls on his CD collection. And I just can't
dare.
I just can't do that. But on a serious note, 3.5. Fantastic album, chock full of melody, epic. The only band that can not be too epic, though, is Iron Maiden. Iron Maiden can never cross the epic threshold. Everyone else, we are all mere mortals, and we have to understand that you can overdo epicness sometimes.
Yeah.
But I digress. So, fantastic work, gentlemen, and I've said this about 5 times now, but I genuinely mean it. I look forward to hearing what these guys have in the future.
So, if you enjoyed this review, give it a thumbs up, and if you are new to the channel, subscribe, because we do stuff like this all the time. We are also on Patreon. If you'd like to help us out there, there's a link down below to thrallsandmetal.com. Eventually, once probably we get back from Denver Death Fest, we are going to work on getting some more stuff in there, but Denver Death Fest has taken a lot of time and effort, so it's going to be a little bit, but yeah, Denver Death Fest will be going on April 20th through April 22nd in Denver, Colorado, because it's Denver Death Fest. That's probably where we should have it.
Because why not?
Yeah. Lots of cool bands. We'll be there hanging out. Come by, have a beer with us. Tell us how much you like the band that just played. Or, you know, tell us, hey, we should buy all those t-shirts. I mean, I'll probably be buying CDs too. I mean, it's going to be a blast. Coming out, it's 3 days of death metal. I can't think of a better way to spend 3 days in Denver.
Musicianship, brother and sisterhood, metal, Denver. Hell yeah, I reckon there ain't no better time on here. So if you can get your little keisters on out there, we're going to party down like it's 1873 all over again.
I don't know if the women really want to party down like it's 1873.
Well, the farm animals will. If the women too tired, the farm animals will.
Well, in 1873, I think the women had about the same amount of rights as the farm animals. So, I don't know about that one. But we're definitely going to party. It'll be just a bunch of people in black t-shirts with illegible font on them, and we'll all be sweaty and probably drunk. Or high. It is Denver. And, of course, thank you all so much for liking, subscribing, following, all that shit. It means the fucking world to us. It's amazing to see this channel grow. Got over 14,000 subscribers now. That is a surreal fucking number for what we do, which is hang out in my basement and just chat about fucking metal.
We really need to tase John, though. Yeah. We really need to tase John.
That was technically 2,000 subscribers ago.
I'm just saying. He made the statement, and I think we should...
Was there a time limit on that? Like, it had to be within so many
He's going to say there's a time limit. I already know what he's... I already hear it in my head.
I have situational memory loss when it comes down to important details like that, so I heard 12,000 subs and Taze and John.
Let's see if we can't convince him to 15,000 subs, then a tase. I think we should.
Either way, thank you all so much, and we will catch you later.